everyone, it's Diaperperv again, and so you're thinking about being a pro babysitter, pro mommy, pro nursery, doing pro sessions for ABDLs and diaper fantasies? Well, watch this first. We're going to give you 5 warnings, 5 things that you should look out for, and then afterwards you can decide if you really want to do this or not. We're going to go through some horror stories and things that I've learned in the 5 years that I was pro. All right, so the first one, number 1, people will try to take advantage of your kindness and get things for free. Yes. I'm sure anyone who is out there selling content or who's a diaper girl and selling content will know this. There are people who are going to try and take advantage of your kindness to get free sessions, free things from you, and your time. So your time is valuable. And maybe they don't know that they're doing that, but one example is emailing 30 times to book a session. That's your time. That is your valuable time, getting each email, reading it, replying back, and you're doing that for free. Is that something you want to do? Okay, maybe not. Like, it's acceptable to have questions when you want to book a session, but let's try to ask all those questions at once. And if you know that you have a lot of questions, if you're a client and you know that you have a ton of things you need answered or reassurances, tip that person. If that person has a wish list, if their payment info is there, give them a tip prior to that and then pay the deposit. Make sure you know that they're serious. And there's going to be a lot of times like people are not serious about booking a session with you. So if they were serious, they would pay the deposit. They would give you a tip. They would buy something off your wish list. And there's going to be a ton of time wasters and people trying to get a free like email session or get their fantasies fulfilled because you know they're rubbing their diaper as they're typing all that stuff to you, okay? So that isn't cool. Have a sext panther. Have a way that they can pay you to text you for your time or to offer text fantasies. Make sure your payment options are all right there, easily accessible, and they can know how to tip you and pay and give you a deposit. There's diaper boys who are definitely typing stuff like, oh, describe how you would change me when I'm there, and you know they are getting off in their diapers as they're doing that, and that is not cool. Okay, not cool. People that have done this, not cool. Please respect their time. Like maybe you're one person doing it, but this person is gonna have like 10 requests a day. There's gonna be 5, 10, 15 people a day asking the same questions, trying to utilize their time. So be aware, be respectful, and learn how to say no. Don't play along with that in hopes that, oh yeah, this person might book a session and maybe pay the deposit. No, if they're serious, they're going to give you the deposit. There's going to be a lot of time wasters, period. Learn how to say no, learn how to see that, and just curb it. Don't respond to that, period. Don't say, okay, yeah, this is okay behavior. It's not okay behavior. Number 2, people are going to try and push your boundaries. You could have all your boundaries listed on your site, things that you are totally comfortable with and is a yes, and things that are a no. And there are people that are going to push them. There are people that are going to book with you and you are doing the session with them and they're still going to push your boundary. Okay, so know what you're comfortable with and don't be afraid to say, stop. I'm not comfortable with this. This is a no. Don't touch me there. No, I'm not going to do that. You have to practice saying no, and that is something that is 100% going to happen. I've had my boundaries pushed And I've had boundaries that I didn't know were boundaries until something would happen, until they would be right there playing it out and in the moment. And then I realized I'm not comfortable with what's going on right now. And it is hard to stop a scene and to get out of that mindset and to say, okay, we have to pause because this is crossing a line. And sometimes you don't know that until that line has been crossed. So just be aware that these things might happen. Be prepared mentally for it. Go over the things that are on your no list and are acceptable and not acceptable. Sometimes you make exceptions and then you realize afterwards that, oh no, I kind of made a mistake. And that's going to happen. And that's okay. It's not their fault. And you're like, okay, I can deal with this one time. Like allowing messing. Some people are totally cool with messing. I had a rule about messing in my space. If it was your space, like I'm at your hotel room, then yes, messing is a go, because my hubby is in the house and he may not want to smell that all throughout the space. But if it's in a hotel room, sure, let's do a lot of diaper pooping. Fun. And there were a couple times where I was like, yeah, okay, we could do some messing in the house. And then it was just a pain in the ass with the smell, with the cleanup, with accidents happen and you accidentally get it on something that's outside of the diaper, and that's a fucking nightmare. And then afterwards you're like, why did I do this? Why did I allow this? Sometimes people won't bring up an act until you're in the middle of a session. And maybe they do that on purpose because they're embarrassed to talk about it beforehand and they're ashamed of it. Or they're thinking, oh, there's a higher chance of it happening if it's in the moment. And then you have to stop it. That's not always fun. That's always a weird boundary thing there. So you're going to have to make decisions on the fly in the middle of stuff. I can guarantee that with all the people I've seen. I remember one guy in the middle of it. I mean, I don't know why he didn't ask me this before, but he asked for a hand job. Yeah, in the middle. And I was like, no, that is clearly not something I do. If you do that, that's super cool. But for my personal thing, anything that is sexual, sensual, or sexy, no, is a no on mine. That's just not my thing. So, number 3, there are going to be some weird and very awkward situations. Guaranteed. And you won't have any idea how to deal with it until you're in the middle of it and you're like, wait, stop. So this is horror story time. I've had sessions with people that wanted to recreate a trauma or an event that happened to them when they were younger. Their hopes were to work through that trauma, to work through it and become better at dealing with that trauma. And there was this one guy, he was so in his mindset that when I was trying to get him in the diaper and everything, he was just so in his mindset that he like just lashed out and kind of pushed me hard. And I mean, I never worry about myself. I know I can take care of myself and I know how to do that. But I quickly realized it's not him pushing me with a bad intent. He was actually so deep in his mindset, that he was recreating what happened. And what happened was that he was, in his mind, a little boy pushing his babysitter or the other person, the older person, away. And I realized, so I kept playing the scene out and I took control of the situation and everything was totally fine. Now, you might come across that situation where people want to play out real trauma that has happened to them, and just be aware that stuff like that could happen. They could get upset, they could start crying, they could get violent because they're recreating it, and it's up to you if you want to say yes to something like that or no. Another guy, I don't know how he slipped through the cracks, because usually when people email me, I tell them to describe what they want in their ideal scenario in the email, and this guy didn't really say much about it. So I was like, okay, cool, we'll talk when we get here, because a lot of times I find that when they're here and I'm talking to them on a one-on-one personal level, it's easier to extract what embarrassing thing they want done. I guess embarrassing to them, because a lot of times I'm their first point of contact in the ABDL sphere. So this guy, when he got here, he wanted a naughty mommy son scenario where mommy would catch him jerking off and teach him how. And I was like, this is not what I do. I only do diaper related fantasies, period. For ABs or DLs, but they have to be diaper related. I don't do naughty mom-son taboo type scenarios, period. And I actually had to ask him to leave. That's only happened a couple times in the hundreds of people that I've seen in my 5 years. And usually I can catch that stuff in the emails, so maybe have a have a better questionnaire in the beginning, just to make sure that their fantasies are in line with what you want to offer and do. There was one guy who did not bring cash for payment. I accept cash, Venmo, PayPal, all of those. And yeah, he didn't have any of those things ready. Give me the balance. So sometimes that's why I need their info to make sure that they pay. And he did pay afterwards, because I took safeguards to safeguard that. Okay, always watch your money. There was another time when someone stole some money from me. It was a couple, and I stupidly put the money on the counter somewhere in my house afterwards. And as we were leaving the house, I was going to drive them somewhere, and one of the two were dawdling, and I realized afterwards when I came back home that there was money missing from my counter, and I knew exactly how much they gave me, and when I came back, some of that was missing. So please be safe, watch your money, put it somewhere safe, and always tell someone where you're going. Always check in, check out with somebody. I had my husband to do that with, so please be safe. Number 4, and this is a huge thing to be aware of. Not every client or everyone is going to like you. Maybe how you come across on social media or whatever is not their type. Not everyone is going to like you. Not everyone's fantasies is going to mesh with yours, and that is okay. They may have a much better experience with someone else, and I know that. People are going to gossip about you when you go pro. Whether it's other pro sessioners, other pro mommies, pro nurseries, and someone might have a bad experience with you and talk about you behind your back. I know this because that has happened to me, and I also know this because I've heard rumors or not ideal sessions from clients about other pro nurseries. Literally, I've heard things about every single one. So that means guaranteed that they've heard things about me too. So always take these things with a grain of salt and know that, hey, maybe that person doesn't do this type of sessions, or maybe they're too intense, or just something didn't click completely, and you're not going to click with each and every person out there, and that's okay. I'm not a dominatrix. Some people might want a very dommy session, and I am not that person. I'm just me. That's what they're gonna get. And not everybody has the same expectations, and not everybody sees how to do this the same way. Just do it your way and do what you're comfortable with. And I think the sooner you accept that you can't control other people's opinions, you can't control what they think about you, then the easier it is to accept that. People are going to talk shit about you. People might have negative experiences with you and share that with other people. And you are going to hear things about other people on a professional level. And it's up to you to keep that professional and not pass judgment, or try not to pass judgment on other people based on what you've heard. It might be a glitch in the communication between them. You don't know, but it's their perspective. They're going to have their own opinions about you, and all you have to do is try to get the communication there and communicate best as you can with them to give them a good experience. A lot of times when I see new people, I like to ask them, like, have you had a session with anybody else, and how did that go? And that let me know how their expectations were met or not met, and how I can change that if anything different needs to be done. So this is kind of a big one, and you may not expect this, but number 5, you may get attached to people, and people may get attached to you emotionally. And there is gonna be some type of line between being professional and feelings, and it's okay. I mean, sometimes you catch feelings for people. All my play partners in the beginning, in the first couple years, were actually clients. And there was a point where I had to make a decision on, they're not going to be clients anymore. Hey, would you like to be my play partner? And yeah, you may end up developing feelings for people, and there are people, especially if you're really good, that are going to develop feelings for you and think of this as more than a pro mommy session, pro babysitting session, and possibly get obsessed with you. I'm kind of saying this from experience. There are signs, I did not totally see them, but be aware that that could happen, and there could be signs where people are encroaching too much, are pushing your personal boundary too much, are wanting too much of your personal time. And to be able to see that and have a talk to them about it, to make sure that you're both on the same page. Restrict this to a certain amount of communication or conversation, or if you want to become friends with them, that's your choice. But I know there have been times when I felt like people got obsessed with me, and it was a little bit weird and a little bit not scary. I was never scared, but it was too much. We're all humans, and feelings develop, especially in something as close and emotional as this. Like when you're the only person that they're confiding this part of themselves to, that they're showing this very vulnerable self to, that no one else knows about, not even their spouse, not their family, just you, and you're affirming it, and you're saying, it's okay, I'm there to take care of you. Things can develop, and yeah, sometimes it gets possessive, sometimes they can get jealous, and sometimes it almost goes into like a stalker like behavior. And I know this because I've experienced it, and I should be talking about it to warn you that that might happen, okay? And I don't think it's gonna happen to like ABDL mommies in particular. It happens in any life situation. Coworkers get stalked, random people get stalked. It happens in any kink. A lot of great friendships have been developed. I've met amazing play partners that are my friends to this day because they were clients first. And I wouldn't have met them if it wasn't that way. If I wasn't out there to say, hey, you can reach me, you can have a play session with me, you can have a pro session with me like this and make it easily accessible. Yeah, in a way, the session was almost like a pre-qualifier on how we would get along, and if we would get along, if we would have stuff in common. So what I learned in the 5 years, despite all these bad things, okay, was the most gratifying, amazing time ever for me to be someone's first sharing moment, and to give them such an amazing experience that's natural it's insurmountable. There's no words that can describe it. So yeah, those are all the horror stories. If you made it this far and you still want to do this, then I'm going to do another video on how to start, how to become a pro nursery, pro mommy, pro babysitter, facilitating diaper fantasy sessions for money. Until then, bye.